Peggy, my Peggy Sue. Cut the piece that's going to be the headliner in that Studebaker. And what I've done is I found a center mark from the widest point, and then I've measured to the center point up there that would match this center point. And then I've cut my two sides, each one at an angle, because the car roof comes in at an angle. It comes from 52 3/4 in the back to 44 1/2 in the front. So in order to get the front line straight, I need it to be cut so that it sits in there straight. So I need to come in a few inches and come back to the edge here, and then come in a few inches and back to this point here. And what I'm going to do is cut the two sides. And then I've got some points where when I slide that up in there, I'm going to have to match it up with certain points inside the car. And I'll grab a flashlight and show you. By the way, I took that table that used to sit here and I put this in. This is a piece of furniture that I got from the safe house, and it was missing the whole piece that used to be there. But it has the doors and the braces for the shelves. So whatever's left over from this piece I'm cutting, I'll use to make the shelves inside this. But this allows me to put a lot of this stuff inside of something and get it out of my way, so I don't have it standing, taking up space where I come through the door. I noticed the other day I shot a video bringing this in, and I had a table sitting here with towels piled on it, and it looked pretty bad, and it took up a lot of room. And this thing was up in the storage barn, so I brought it down here and set it up, and working toward organizing that a little better at the same time that I'm making this. So I was going to show you the points inside the car that I'm going to need to line up with, and I'll get in here and use my flashlight. There is a point right here. So the piece is going to come up over this little lip that's sitting right there. I don't know if you can see it. There's one on each side. And then back here there's another lip right here, and another one back there that when I made this, I left these here to use as attachment points. My hope is I can push this up in here, and I may drill a little pinhole here and stick like a pin in here to hold it until I get it all up in there. Once I've got it up in there, I can attach it more permanently. Sort of what I'm working toward there. So now I need to take a few measurements to figure out what to do next exactly. So getting the piece in the car was really quite the challenge. I had to turn it so that it was as narrow as I could get it, which is basically front to back. And then I had to put both these seats forward, and then I had to put one corner down here and one up here, and then I had to bend it and slide it in there and straighten it out. So it's in there now, and what I'm going to try to do is I've got a stick right here, and I got another one that I can wedge in back there, and I'm going to try to just, since I'm doing this by myself and I don't have anybody to hold it, I'm going to try to stick one end up here and let it sit on top of the stick, and then put that stick onto the back side, and then once it's up there, I can sort of study on how I want to attach it. And there's an excellent place to put screws here. I've got enough roof here where if I shoot a screw into this part right here. I guess I could turn the camera around. There's a metal beam here. It's got an edge to it. There's some space above it so that if I shoot a short sheet metal screw in there, I can attach that up. And it's kind of the same way I attached all these pieces here that are holding all this in place. And I can also, I've got enough room to get a sheet metal screw up in here at the front if I need to. So first step's just going to be to get the piece in there, and then I can look at it and think about it and make a decision about how I want to go from there. All right, I'm going to put you on a stand and set you maybe over here on the other side where you can kind of look in, hopefully, through the back door and see what I'm doing in here. I'm going to have to renegotiate the seats a little bit to get that piece where I can get it in a place where I can start to move it a little bit. Actually, maybe I can just get this up in here on top of that, right there. And go right in the back here and move that other stick. Yeah, something like this. And put this here and slide it back. And this is where I cut that little notch right here. You know, another thing I could do is I could come up on the sides and I could put a little, see, I've got some metal up in here, and I could put a little bracket here and there and set that up in there like that. That would pretty much stay put. I think I've got some little brackets I was looking at somewhere the other day. They're probably just about right for that. But it's kind of a cool thing to be in here and have something that resembles a ceiling in place. That's a place to start. Yeah, place to start. Looks cooler than having all that material stuff showing there. So that's the place to start from. We kind of go from there. I think this side over here probably needs to come back a little. And I may wind up having to trim. I may have to do some trimming up in here too as I find my way to get this where I want it to be. In fact, I might have to spend a little time figuring out where that is, where I want it to be. I've never done one of these before, so I really don't know what I'm doing. But we learn as we go. So I'll walk y'all around here. You can get in the back seat where we can see. Looks like this whole thing needs to come back a little on this corner. As you can figure out where you're at by looking at certain internal parts of the car. And here's a good example. There's a little bracket thingy right here. You see that? And that's where that comes up to. And over here, I don't have a flashlight. You know, that's lined up pretty good, actually. So here's that bracket. That's within about a quarter inch of being just about right there. So another thought, I hadn't thought about it too much yet. What I was talking about a while ago is if I put a little clip up here, like that, That would be about right as far as lining up with the roof line. And that would hold it in place pretty well right there. So, I was going to say another thing is the car may not be completely square. I don't know how exacting they're. I don't know how exacting all that would be. Even if it was square when it came from the factory after 90 years of being driven. Yeah, who knows? Oh, the other good thing about this is if I don't attach this too, put it in here in such a way where it's in there too rigidly, then I can still drop it down if I want to get up in there and get more insulation in place or something. See, on this side, that's where I cut that little notch in the wood, and that fits right into that. Over here, I think I'm a little bit ahead of that. But that's a place to start. All right, I'm gonna go look into finding me some of those little bracket things I was talking about. I guess another thing I could do, I don't want to shoot a screw up into that though. I'd rather not. I think I'd rather put a screw here, right here, right up there. Yeah, let me go see what I can find. Whee! Yeah. Yeah. So, like I've said several times already, I believe it's a place to start. I might take a little something and tap that back over there. Well, I actually could do it with my tape measure. My tape measure is heavy enough where I was using it for a hammer a little bit while ago. One of them old-fashioned good ones before they started making them out of plastic. I think there's a little bit of cork or something between the top piece of metal and the internal piece of metal, and this is kind of sitting right on that, but I could put it inside of it, I believe, like right here. If I really wanted to, there's a little piece of metal. Well, it's hanging on this thing, but still, that would be something. You know, there's all kind of places to attach. I mean, as I'm looking at this, there's a nice, like I mentioned, this nice. What have I got you looking at? Nothing, not me. I mentioned it was a nice little track that runs down the length of the car. Right here, I could put a screw in each side of this right back here, and that would certainly keep it steady, where it wouldn't go anywhere. think about. Okay. Well, that's more progress than I expected to make today. Yep, sure is. All right, let's get out of here. Well, I'm gonna turn the camera off anyway. Study on it. I may be about ready to go up and hang out with the dogs. Sometimes that's just what we do. We just hang out with each other. At the end of the day, dogs are important, very important. They need to know that their dog daddy loves them. I could put a screw right up into that too, or some kind of a holder or something. All right, let's not get too carried away today. Let's think about what we've done so far, and then that's good for something to hold it in place till I figure out what I want to do next. And one of the things I had talked about before is putting some material on this, some of that diamond pleated material. So we might do that too, but I think for today I'll rest on that, consider it, and then come back at it tomorrow. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. I love every one of you like you were my own. And I'll talk to you more next time.